Good morning, everyone. How are you today? Good morning. I hope all of you are in a good condition always. As we know, today we are still facing the pandemic of COVID-19, and I hope that you are always in a health and safe condition. Today, I would like to present you about the Indonesia economic challenges due to COVID-19 and our policies response for fiscal year in 2022. My presentation will consist of three parts. First is Indonesia economic challenges, and then the intervention of government policies to overcome this crisis. And last but not least is our fiscal policy response to support economic recovery. Before we start, please let me introduce myself first. My name is Yanuar Imbiono. You can call me Imbi. Currently, I'm serving as Head of Section of Performance Management under Directorate General of Treasury, Ministry of Finance of the Republic of Indonesia. Before serving in my current position, I was a Head of Section of Human Resource Management in North Sulawesi Treasury Regional Office. A little bit about my education. I got my Master of Public Policy in KDI School. So, 안녕하세요. Manaso Banggapsamnida. And I got my undergraduate financial management in Gajah Mada University in Yogyakarta, Indonesia. And also undergraduate in State Treasury, State College of Accountancy or STAN. Okay, let's go to our first presentation about the Indonesia economic challenges. Korean entrepreneurs, challenges on Indonesia economic, I can say come and go. Actually, it's not only in Indonesia, right? But also in all countries all over the world. A few years back, before the COVID-19 pandemic spread, Indonesia economic challenges usually caused by the global political and economic challenges. Global financial crisis happened in 2008. It's popular with the subprime mortgage, you're right. Subprime mortgage crisis happened in 2008. And then the debt crisis happened in Portugal, Spain, Italy, and domestic pressures, and also geopolitical issues currently happen, such as like dispute between ASEAN country member and also China in South China Sea, a crisis. And then the Fed normalization, tapering, and also trade war between US and China. All these issues impact a lot in Indonesia economy. And how about currently? I believe all of you are understand, right? COVID-19 becoming a source of unprecedented crisis, providing shock to the supply and demand side and giving domino effect to various aspects in Indonesia. At least there are four factors impacted so much because of the COVID-19 in Indonesia. First is health, and then social, economics, and also financial sectors. We will discuss it later, okay? Of course, we will discuss it later because it's about COVID-19 crisis. How about in the coming years? Coming years, full with unpredictable issues, okay? Such as like economic, and how about the climate change impacts? Sure, of course. How about the technology disruption, right? And other disruption. In Indonesia, I can say the technology disruption, is much impact our economy, such as like online shopping, what else? Ride sharing, technology, and all of the factors impact a lot to our shopping behavior. I can say in this pandemic, it helps our economy a lot, but at the same times, yeah, it gives a lot of bad impact also in our economy. There are a lot of malls, shopping center closed because of online shopping. And other disruption, we never know. Yeah, we never know. But many of experts say that's happened because of natural disaster, especially in Indonesia. Because currently, there are several of earthquake happen in part of Indonesia, and also eruption happen in Indonesia also, and many things happen. And I can say, okay, through this slide, I can say that the challenges on Indonesia economic is come and go. Let's continue to the second slide. As I mentioned before, we will discuss about impacts of COVID-19 to Indonesian economic. There are at least four factors, four fields that impact a lot by the COVID-19. First is the health, social, economic, and financial. Let's go to deeper. For health, easy and fast infection of COVID-19 creates health crisis by the absence of drugs, limited vaccines, medical equipment, and health workers. Once again, it's not only in Indonesia, it's happened everywhere, okay? As a developing countries, of course, Indonesia impact a lot because of absence of drugs, limited vaccine, and medical equipment. How about in the social? In social, our government policies to flattening the infection curve has consequences. Of course, the government closed the malls, closed the school, closed offices, right? Factories, market, and that's create what can I say? Cessation of economic activities, and labor absorbs, and informal sector impact a lot because of this policy. How about in the economy? Of course, it was impacted a lot, because of the consumption slump, right? Hampered investment, export and import are contracted a lot, and economy growth slowly and decline sharply. How about in the financial sector? In the financial sector, the investor confidence decline. They don't want to do the investment anymore. Okay, and then flight to quality behavior. Flight to quality behavior means I don't want to put my money into unresilient economy. So I just wait. I want to wait. I want to take my money. I don't want to invest it, just like that. And this it will impact the real sector performance, and then non-performing loans, getting increased, and then the profitability and solvability under pressures. Okay. Through this slide, I want to show you at least there are four fields impacted a lot by the COVID-19: health, social, economic, and financial in Indonesia. In this slide, I want to show you the impact of COVID-19 in Indonesia. It's very, very bad, actually. How bad? Let's continue. First, for the economic growth, of course, it's declined a lot. The termination of employment and unemployment rate increase, while the poverty rate, of course, increase. Based on the Indonesia Central Bureau of Statistics, CBS, in Indonesia we call it BPS, Badan Pusat Statistik, in 2020, in the first quarter of 2020, the first case of COVID-19 happened in Indonesia on the March 2020. Okay, so before March 2020, our Indonesia economic still grow by 2.97%. I'm sorry, 2.97%. Suddenly, after the first infection case happened in Indonesia, it spread a lot, and as I mentioned before, the government tried to flattening the curve, yes, and that's why government tried to close the office, factories, market, malls, and those things. And suddenly, in the quarter two, the next 3 months, still in the same year, 2020, our economic performance, our economic growth becoming minus 5.32 only in 3 months, in 3 second months. You can imagine how much our economy impacted by the COVID-19. And how about the poverty? The poverty is 4.86 million people living under poverty. I mean, additional people who are living in a poverty line. How about the unemployment? Yeah, there are plus 5.23 million. Yes, I can say in 2020, our Indonesian economic is impacted a lot by the COVID-19, as I show you in this slide. Let's continue. Because many of you, as the participant, are coming from Korean entrepreneurs, okay, I want to explain you a little bit about the micro, small, medium enterprises in Indonesia, okay? So you can compare it to Korean condition. Okay, for micro, small, and medium enterprises, or we call it MSMS in Indonesia. Yes, MSMS contribution in Indonesia. As we can see over here, okay, there are 63.5 million of micro enterprises in Indonesia, or it's equal with 98.7% of enterprises in Indonesia categorized as micro. How about the small? There are more than 783,000 categorized as small enterprises. How about the medium? There are more than 60,000 categorized as medium enterprise. How about the big one? Only 5,000, around 5,000 categorized as big enterprises in Indonesia. This number based on the Ministry of Cooperative and Micro, Small, and Medium Enterprises in 2018. I always put the source, so anytime if you have spare times, you can try to Googling it. You can try to look at the data directly. Okay, I already put over there. And micro plus small plus medium enterprises in Indonesia consists of 99.9% of total enterprises in Indonesia. Wow. It means the big enterprises in Indonesia only less than 0.1% in Indonesia. And how to categorize an enterprise, including in micro, small, or medium, or even big. In Indonesia, based on the government regulation number 7, year 2020, 21st, this is the criteria of micro, small, and medium enterprises. Okay, if one enterprise, the maximum asset is 1 billion rupiah, or equal with 70,000 USD, yeah, it categorized as micro. micro enterprises. And also the sales turnover. The maximum is 2 billion rupiah or equal with 140,000 USD. And you can see over here, this is the small and also the medium. And how about the contribution? Once again, I said that 99.9% of total enterprises in Indonesia categorized as micro, small, and medium. 99.9%. It means only 0.1% categorized as big. But how about the contribution in Indonesia? You can see over here that more than 60% of our total GDP, Indonesia total GDP, contribute by the micro, small, medium enterprises. Yes. And also 97% of our total workforce, they are working at the micro, small, medium enterprises. That's happened also 99% of total employment working in micro, small, medium enterprises. And 58.18% of total investment contribute by micro, small, medium enterprises. How about the total export? Unfortunately, micro, small, medium enterprises contribution to our economy for total export is only 14.17%. Yes, it means the more than 80% of total export contribute by big enterprises in Indonesia. Okay. From this slide, I want to show you how important micro, small, medium enterprises in Indonesia. Let's continue. How about the condition? How about the condition? Okay. First, challenging business climate in Indonesia. The I-Core in Indonesia from 2016 until 2018 is still high, 6.3, while Malaysia 4.6, Thailand 4.5, and Vietnam is 5.2. The higher the number, it means the more inefficient our economy to create one GDP, one USD in GDP. So from this data, I can say that to create one additional GDP to our one additional USD to our GDP, we need at least 6.3 USD. And compared to Malaysia, only 4.6, Thailand 4.5, and Vietnam 5.2. So it means the Indonesia is more inefficient compared to Malaysia, Thailand, and Vietnam. We still need a lot of things to improve this kind of I-Core score. How about other condition? Unfortunately, still the less productive. 46.7% dominated by small retailer. Okay, small retailer, such as like in traditional market, tricycle driver. They haven't created value-added products yet, based on CBS survey in 2016. 52.5% of micro, small, medium enterprises are blue collars. This is based on the survey of International Finance Corporation 2016. Why informal? Why they don't have any license, right? Because it's complicated. Complicated licensing, yes. It's useless and it's expensive, in Indonesia to make the license. And then lack of financial access. I believe it's not only in Indonesia but all over the world. While the micro, small, and medium enterprises has lack of financial access. The credit for MSMS only 19.6%, dominated by state-owned enterprises bank, based on Bank of Indonesia survey in 2018. How about other? How about other? Difficult to reach higher position. MSMS dominating 98.7, the business and portion not changed in the last 10 years. You can imagine. Start from 2000, let's say 2010 until today, 2020, yes, the micro, small, medium enterprises still dominating our economy. Yes, 98.7%. More or less, just little bit change. It means they cannot go into higher position. It's very bad. How about other? difficult to access global market. Only 6.3% can enter global value chain market compared to micro, small, medium enterprises from other Southeast Asia countries. This based on WTO 2013. And the export contribution, as I mentioned before, only 14.7%. However, this bad condition, bring them in a good position. About what? About they are resilient to crisis. In 1998, as you know, Asian financial crisis happened, and it hit a lot our economy in Southeast Asia, when US dollar from $1 is around to 2,500 in 1996, suddenly becoming 16,000 in 1998, and our economic collapsed a lot. Many of big enterprises are collapsed. Unemployment rate are very high at the time in 1998. Okay, Asian financial crisis. But how about the MSMS, micro, small, medium enterprises in Indonesia? They are resilient to crisis. 64% without any decline in turnover. 31% decline, 1% develop. You can see, there are still MSMS still developed in Asian financial crisis. And employment termination only 0.1% based on University of Indonesia survey in 2013. How about in 2020, COVID-19, when COVID-19 spread? Unfortunately, no, they cannot resilient anymore. Based on survey, 40% micro, small, and medium enterprises in Indonesia will stop their operation. However, 99% business in Indonesia is micro, small, and medium, majority categorized as micro and small. So 40% of micro, small, and medium enterprises will stop their operation. Based on the ILO, International Labour Organization, on April 2020, they did the survey for 571 micro, small, medium enterprises. 2/3 MSMS will stop their business. 52% lost their income more than 50%, and 60% lessen their employees. To respond about this condition, our government do relaxation of micro, small, medium enterprises credit, add stimulus in micro credit for them, tax reduction for them, and also interest subsidies for them. We will discuss it later about the government policies as response. This is the demographic bonus happen in Indonesia. The demographic bonus will happen in Indonesia start from 2030 until 2040. As you know, demographic bonus means that the population in productive age let's say start from 16 until 65 years old, people will dominate our economy for 64% of our economy. While the population currently in 2020 is 273 million of people in Indonesia. It means Indonesia is the fourth largest population after China, and then India, US, and the fourth is Indonesia. As I mentioned before, that 99% of total employment and also 97% of total workforce, they are work in micro, small, medium enterprises. So, if we want to save our demographic bonus, if we want to create job for them, we have to, Indonesia should be improved, should be treat the micro, small, medium enterprises better. That's one of the key. Okay, after we discussed a little bit about the micro, small, medium enterprises, in this slide, I want to show you the potential risk of Indonesia economic at the end of 2020 until 2022. This is the potential risk, okay? Once again, it's potential risk. First is about US economic issues, the tapering issues, increase of interest rate, Fed fund rate, FFR, and also debt or limit ceiling. How about from Europe economic? In Europe, tapering also happened by European Central Bank and also Bank of England. The Brexit impacts in labor shortage and supply problems. Don't forget about China economic issues. As we know, there is Evergrande, non-performing loan risk, and also China's slower economic growth in the middle term. And also the commodities price fluctuation, supply disruption, and stagflation. These four will create volatility, increased financial market, global economic growth retardment, and also potential inflation import. All of these issues will impact Indonesian economy at the end of 2020 until 2022, beside, of course, crisis by the COVID-19. Okay, that is the first slide. I mean, the first part of my presentation. This is about the current condition, current crisis because of the COVID-19. In the second part, we will discuss about the government intervention policies. Okay, what kind of government programs, what kind of government policies to overcome this problem. Let's continue. Okay, our government programs to overcome this crisis consists of three most important things. The first is resilient survival and recovery kit. Second one is health intervention. And last but not least is the structural reform. For the resilience, survival, and recovery kits, there are two. The first one is social protection program, where the government allocate conditional cash transfer, or in Indonesia we call with program Keluarga Harapan, PKH. And then non-cash food aid, or in Indonesia we call it Kartu Sembako. I always put the Indonesian here, so anytime if you have spare time, you can try to type it. If you type non-cash food aid in Indonesia, maybe there are not much news about it. But if you type kartu sembako or PKH, PKH, and BLT, bantuan langsung tunai, you will get many information about it. And then other program is cash social assistance, or in Indonesia we call it BST, bantuan sosial tunai. Next one is cash social assistance, or BLT, bantuan langsung tunai, village fund, dana desa. And then kartu prakerja, or pre-employment card, and then electricity discount and internet subsidy. Still, in this program, other one is support businesses sustainability development, such as like support to MSMS and cooperative, priority program to support job creation. The support for MSMS in here is such like we give interest subsidy for MSMS debt. And second one is health intervention. First is free vaccination for all Indonesian. So it means 208 million people in Indonesia will get free vaccination. To start from 2 or 3 days ago, okay, today is 16 December, so around 13 December, our government start to do the vaccination for children from 6 until 12 years old. So it means not only 2.8 million in here, but maybe 250 million currently. We have to allocate from the fiscal budget for free vaccination for all Indonesian. You can imagine how much money will belongs to this program. We will discuss it later about how much money allocate to all of the program. The second program is health protocol enforcement, or 3T, testing, tracing, and treatment. And also 3M. We have 3T and 3M in Indonesia. It means wearing masks, washing hands, and social distancing. Other intervention is health facilities, personal protection, equipment, etc. The third program is structural reform, such as like human resource development, infrastructure development, and also simplification of regulation, such as like the government already and also the parliament create law number 11 year 2020 about Ciptaker. And 3 of these factors are the game changer for national economic recovery. Let's continue. Let's continue to the number allocated by the government for each program. National economic recovery, or in Indonesia we call it PEN, Pemulihan Ekonomi Nasional Program, National Economic Recovery, or Pemulihan Ekonomi Nasional Program in 2021. For PEN in 2021, first is strengthening household consumption. As I mentioned before, it is like social aids, PKH, PKH, Program Keluarga Harapan, Kartu Sembako, Bansos Tunai, Bantuan Sosial Tunai, and etc. And then pushing government spending or government consumption, such as like spending for micro, small, medium enterprises, healthcare, personal protection equipment, universal healthcare, etc. And then the third one is supporting public investment, such as like government capital expenditure for infrastructure, labor-intensive expenditure, and etc. For the social protection itself, the government allocate 186 trillion or equal with 13 billion US dollar. Yeah, it's huge amount of money for the social protection, such as like social aids, yeah, PKH, kartu sembako, bansos tunai, and etc. For health, the government spending, I think this one is the most field, the most sector that government allocate the budget is for the health. More than 214 trillion or equal with 15 billion US dollar belongs to health sector. For what? For vaccination, free vaccination, tracing and testing, healthcare incentive for health workers, medicine, self-isolation, health tax incentive, and health infrastructure devices, and etc. How about for the business? Yeah, it's quite big also, 62.83 trillion or equal with 4.53 billion US dollar. And also for support from MSMS and corporation, 162 trillion. And then the priority program is 170 million. You can see over here, yeah, this is the more detail what kind of program allocate by the government from the fiscal budget. Overall, this program, PEN or National Economic Recovery Program, is more than 744 trillion. For your information, our state budget for 2021 is 2,700 trillion. It means almost one fourth allocated for PEN program in 2020 because of the COVID pandemic. 1/4 of government budget allocated to overcome the crisis. This one, I want to show you about the government policy about the deficit of fiscal budget. Based on the state budget law, actually the maximum deficit, the maximum deficit is only 3% of GDP. 3% of GDP. But after the spread of COVID-19, our government lessened the percentage becoming -5 and then becoming -6, but the realization is only 6.14. The deficit, okay, the budget deficit, 6.14% of our GDP. From this slide, I want to show you that our fiscal budget, our state budget, is working so hard, to overcome the COVID-19 crisis. Let's go. This one. This is the COVID-19 timeline in Indonesia. The first case happened in March 2020. Okay, and suddenly, slowly but sure, the number is going up. As you can see the curve over here. This is the first hit, in around February 2021, when many of local government lessened the implementation of large-scale social restriction. And yeah, this is the impact. The COVID-19 rate are getting higher in January and February 2021. But this is the crazy one happened on July until until September 2021. Well, when the Delta variant attacked our economy so hard. At the time, almost 40,000 new cases happen every day. 40,000. Wow, crazy. Okay. And how about the state budget deficit? As I mentioned before, um, based on the regulation, actually, the maximum deficit only minus 3% of our GDP. But because of the COVID-19 crisis, the government lessening becoming -5 and then -6, so on and so forth. And over here you can see the allocation, budget allocation for each month. Until July 2020, first we spent around 744 trillion rupiah for PEN program. Let's go to the next slide. This is the state budget realization until September 30 or third quarter of 2021. The spending, total spending is more than 1,800 in the realization, or or the growth is minus 1.9. It's good because of at least our economy shows improvement. This is the central government spending, good spending, equity, and so on and so forth. The total deficit still until September, 30th of September, or the third quarter, only 2.6 of total GDP. This is the graph about the government spending. As you know, GDP consists of consumption, investment, government spending, export minus import. For the government spending itself, it's very well. It's going down in quarter 2, but it's going up again. And I can say in the third quarter, it's quite good. Okay. How about the consumption? The consumption also very nice over here after slowing down in quarter 2, but now in the second quarter until the third quarter is going up again. And how about the investment? Investment also. Currently, it shows many improvement in our economic sector, I can say. This is the global COVID infection rate. I can show you how Indonesia is changed currently. Okay. This is the curve around the world. The global, okay, the global infection rate. Suddenly in here, currently in here, the number are getting higher, slowly but surely, right? Increasing in here. But how about Indonesia? Praise to God. The daily infection rate are at the lowest level. Over here. After we are hit a lot by the Delta variant, but nowadays we are at the lowest level of COVID-19. This is the vaccination global vaccination in the world. As the game changer, vaccination is one of the most important sector to overcome the crisis, right? And our government of Indonesia, commits to give vaccination to all Indonesian. As you can see here, the cumulative COVID-19 vaccination, China is the highest one, followed by India, US, Brazil, and the number 5 is Indonesia. This is the curve of daily vaccination in Indonesia, always increase day by day. How about the mobility index? Yes, as you can see in here, Indonesian people, are going where? Going anywhere currently, nowadays, I mean. It's very, very sad because actually the COVID-19 pandemic is not finished yet, but the mobility of our population is higher currently. So, it will potential they will get infected when they are go outside of their house actually. From this slide, I want to show you the data that Indonesian economic pressures because of the COVID-19 is one of the most moderate compared to other countries. You can see over here, this is Indonesia. Our budget deficit is 6.1, while our economic growth only minus 2.1. You can compare with US, their budget deficit is minus 15.6, while the economic growth still minus 3.5. How about in Japan? Yes, their budget deficit is minus 14.2, while the economic growth is minus 4.7. In your country, in Korea, the budget deficit is 3.2 and the economic growth is minus 1. So I can say, Korea and also Indonesia is quite the same, but Korea is better compared to Indonesia because your deficit is 3.2 while the economic growth is minus 1. How about the Vietnam and China? Both of them, I think only few of the country can still have economic growth during the pandemics, including Vietnam and China. In Vietnam, their budget deficit is minus 4.0 and their economic growth is plus 2.9. While in China, their budget deficit is quite big, 11.9, but their economic growth still positive, 2.3. How about the debt ratio between Indonesia and other country? This is Indonesia. The debt ratio in 2019 is 30.5, while in 2020, 38.5. Compared to Japan, US, Singapore, Italy, French, and UK, I think Indonesia is much better in the term of debt ratio, percent to GDP. Let's continue. This is the economic growth quarterly. Start from quarter 1 in 2020 until the third quarter of 2021. As I mentioned before the pandemic spread, our economic in first quarter of 2020 still grew 2.7%. 67%. After the COVID pandemic happened, and the government have to close down the factories, the malls, the stores, and those things, the schools, suddenly our economy becoming minus 5.32%. And because of the government intervention, praise to God, in quarter 2 of 2020, our economy can reach growth 7.07%. Unfortunately, the Delta variant hit our economy again, and the economic growth in the third quarter becoming only 3.51. But still, it shows good progress of our economic development. This is the export and the import growth based on the CBS. You can see in here, in the first quarter, it's going down, but at the end of 2020, it slowly but sure, it getting higher again. And also the import as well. In the first quarter of 2020, it going slower. It's going slower, and now it's increase in the third quarter of 22 and 21st. How about the trade balance? You can see in here, the yellow one is the export, while the blue one is the import. So the trade balance is quite positive. This is the balance, the trade balance. You can see in here. This line shows that our trade balance is still positive. During the pandemic of COVID-19 crisis, there are some sector in Indonesia that still can grow still. First one is the manufacture and trade. Yes, you can see the graph over here. And also the mining. They are still grow, very good. Health service as well. Even health service never became minus in the growth, percentage of growth. You can see in here, they are always positive. The construction, you can see they are still growth currently, and agricultural also, and the communication as well. And tourism support over here. Let's continue. How about if we go into detail, what kind of island contribute to Indonesian economic growth? Java Island, still the highest one, yes, 57%, more than 57% of economic growth contribute by Java Island, as the most density and developed islands around Indonesia. And the second one is the Sumatra Island, 21.90%, and continued by Borneo or Kalimantan, and then Sulawesi, then Bali and Nusa Tenggara over here, and last but not least is the Maluku and Papua, 2.45%. How about the employment condition, the workforce, job opening, and etc.? Please look at it here. The level of unemployment, open unemployment, decrease. Start from 7.1% on August 20, becoming only 6.5% on August 21st. And the unemployment rate also decreased from 2.6 million of people in August 2020, becoming only 1.8 million of people on August 21st. How about the layoff? The layoff also decreased from 1.8 million of people, becoming only 1.4 million people on August 21st. All of the data here show that there are progress in our economic improvement. Still, this is the current indicator, show consumption and production are growing. The consumption in here, the consumer confidence index, getting higher on October 2021. Retail sales index also shows the improvement. Purchasing manager index, PMI, on manufacture also shows, the graph shows the improvement. Export and import, as I mentioned before, also shows improvement, while the electricity consumption growth also shows improvement in here. We have discussed the second part of my presentation. I can show you from the second part that Indonesian economy currently, after the the programs, PN programs, and also the intervention of government, shows progress of improvement of economic development in our economy. In the third part, we will discuss about fiscal policies respond to support economic recovery in fiscal year 2022. As you know, based on the principles of state budget or public finance, the fiscal budget or the state budget has three kind of the most important roles. First is the allocation functions. Second one is distribution functions. Last but not least is stabilization function. The fiscal policies in 2022, there are four major. First is for still COVID-19 handling acceleration. The second one is to maintain the resilient survival and recovery acceleration. The third is the structural reform. And the fourth is comprehensive fiscal reform. This is the four roles for fiscal policies in 2022. For the COVID handling acceleration, the government will continue with the vaccination program, health protocols, health facilities, and health worker and medicines. For the maintain the resilience, the government will allocate still for social aid, supporting business and micro, small, medium enterprises through PKH, Program Keluarga Harapan, Kartu Sembako, Kartu Prakerja, Bantuan Langsung Tunai, Dana Desa. And also for the MSMS, the government will implement the interest subsidy for MSMS debt. For the structural reform, the government will continue through education improvement, reliable health system, investment climate improvement, infrastructure to support, and institutional reform. For the comprehensive fiscal reform, we will implement the taxation reform, spending better through the zero-based budgeting, and also financing innovation, such as like government cooperation with business entities, and then SWF, Sovereign Wealth Fund, and also SMV, Special Mission Vehicle, and debt management. This graph shows about the projection of Indonesia economic growth. In 2021, economic growth predict projection is around 4.5, while in 2022 the projection is 5.5, and then in 2023 6.1, and finally in 2025 is around 6.5%. From this slide, I would like to explain a little bit about the outlook of state budget for fiscal year 2022. We can see over here that the deficit is 4.85% of GDP. Although, based on the law number 17, 2003, the maximum deficit is 3% of our GDP. But in 2022, because of pandemic, so the deficit still 4.85. And in 2023, we hope that the deficit can go back to 3% of our GDP. This is the macro assumption that we use for state budget in fiscal year 2022. For the unemployment rate is 5.5 until 6.3%, while the poverty 8.5 until 9%, Gini ratio 0.376 until 0.378. While the revenue is 1,846 trillion, or equal with 128 billion US dollar. How about the spending? The spending is around 2,714 trillion, equal with 181 billion US dollar. Okay, so the deficit still 868 trillion, or equal with 4.85 of our GDP. Let's go to the next slide. This is the state budget allocation for 2022. For the education, the government allocate 542.8 trillion. For the health, 256 trillion. And for infrastructure, food security, tourism, IT, and communication. For the COVID-19, still have one of the biggest allocation compared to other sector, because in 2022, the COVID-19 is cannot overcome. We cannot overcome the COVID-19 perfectly. Ladies and gentlemen, I think that's all of my presentation. Briefly, I can say that although our economy are suffering a lot because of COVID-19, start from 2020 until the end of 2021, but our government try our best to recover the economic condition. Thank you so much. If you have any question, if you need information into detail, you can contact me. This is my email. You can contact me in here, yanuar.imbi@kdis.ac.kr, and my cell phone also I put on here. Thank you so much for your kind attention, and I hope we can meet in other occasion. Thank you and good morning.